Yo, how you doing?
What do you think, Bailey? What is that?
Okay, you have the best time. Prost.
What happens when you combine the natural beauty of the south end of the Blue Ridge Mountains in northern Georgia with a festive Bavarian village located on the Chattahoochee? Add in some waterfalls, wineries, a safari, vintage roadside stands, a chocolate factory, some schnitzel, bratwurst, and fun people in German garb. You end up with a place you just might have to add to your bucket list.
Welcome to Helen, Georgia.
Hey, Prost!
Hey,
Prost!
In the 1960s, it seemed this town's booming days were long gone. Named after the daughter of a lumber official, Helen was in decline. But in 1968, local businessmen of the town gathered. One man, an artist from nearby Clarksville, presented some sketches of an alpine village of when he was stationed in the army in Bavaria. It would completely revitalize this northern Georgia town. Today, Helen is the third most visited city in Georgia, just behind Atlanta and Savannah, with over 200 shops, with cobblestone alleyways amidst colorful buildings with gingerbread trim and red brownish roofs. In this video, we are not only going to show you Helen, but many of the great places of interest around this alpine town. We will take you to the trails of Tallulah Falls, one of the most spectacular canyons in the eastern U.S., show you an 1880s tea room and coffee house, travel through the North Georgia Wildlife Park Safari, show the quaint town of Sautee Nacoochie, Hardman Historical Site, a couple of wineries, a 19th century flour mill, ride the Hardman to Helen Heritage Trail along the Chattahoochee and the Nora Mill Dam, explore Unicoi State Park, and Ruby Falls, Brasstown Bald, the highest point in Georgia. And Bailey leads the way on the Appalachian Trail, and we'll give you a full tour of downtown Helen, where guys are in lederhosen and Tyrolean hats, adorned with feathers, and women in dirndls with aprons. While we film during Octoberfest, there are fun events throughout the year, and plenty of recreation with golfing, tubing, ziplining, paddling, hiking, and horseback riding. We'll give tips on lodging, camping, and show restaurants where you can pick up some delicious German food, in family and pet-friendly bars with rustic outdoor seating. So come with us as we show you a vibrant Appalachian getaway
Helen, Georgia!
in the surrounding Blue Ridge Mountain region. It's sunrise looking over the Appalachian Mountains from Helen, Georgia. The southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail is just 45 miles directly west of Helen. More on that trail later. For now, it's time for coffee. In the middle of Main Street is Yona Coffee Company. They have a good selection of pastries and fast breakfast sandwiches. I'm enjoying an apple pecan muffin, adding some collagen protein to my coffee, and I'm ready for a day of hiking. There's also Huddle House for a full breakfast, which they serve all day. Helen is about halfway between Greenville, the location of our last video, and Atlanta, the location of our next video. It's an hour off of I-85. Greenville is about a 2-hour drive, and Atlanta about a 90-minute drive. By the way, this is Lake Hartwell, Georgia's second largest lake, located at the Georgia-South Carolina border. Helen makes a good base camp for exploring the Blue Ridge Mountains. You can get out in the wilderness, enjoying the nature during the mornings and afternoons, then come back to Helen for some fun people connection in the evenings. We are going to first show some nature areas within a 40-minute drive from Helen, then come back and give you a tour of downtown. Georgia has some very large recreational lakes. One of them is located 23 miles northeast of Helen, Lake Burton. It is between Brasstown Bald and Tallulah Falls. Great for boating, camping, picnicking, fishing, and there's swimming at Timpson Cove Beach. And right on Highway 76 is Jones Bridge Park, with a nice scenic overlook with picnic tables on the northern edge of Lake Burton. And for antique shoppers, 3 miles east of Jones Bridge Park is Black Bear Creek Antiques. For those of you who head up to the Smoky Mountains from Florida or Georgia, if you're like me, you probably have passed Tallulah Falls right off of US 441 many times, not realizing what is here. Tallulah Gorge State Park is worth a visit. There's fishing and boating on 3 lakes, hiking, and a 7-mile mountain bike trail. Parking is $5 per vehicle. There's the Pioneer Campground in the park for tents, trailers, and RVs with pull-through hookup sites. Also cabins, cottages, and yurts available. I put a link in the description below for reservations and more info. At the state park is a 2-mile-long gorge, 1,000 feet deep, carved out by the Tallulah River, one of the most spectacular canyons in the eastern U.S. There are 5 waterfalls along the gorge, with rim trails along both the north and the south side, and a trail into and over the gorge. Dogs are allowed on the rim trails, but not on the suspension bridge over the gorge or the trails into the floor of the canyon. Be aware though, there's a whole lot of stairs, so it is considered a little strenuous.
Climbing stairs is one of the best exercises you can do. It's fairly easy on your joints, and yet it gives you good cardio. And your most important muscle is your heart. Go dogs. Beautiful dogs.
She's terrified. She's like, I can't get it.
But make sure to bring some water with you, because you will sweat.
On the north side is the Visitor Center, with a free museum to learn more about the history of this region. Visitors have been coming here since the Victorian era. In 1840, the Tallulah Hotel opened, and when the railroad reached the falls in 1882, it allowed those from Atlanta to easily reach this once remote location, thereby increasing tourism. A dam was built in 1912 to harness the raging power of the falls. In the following year, electricity sent all the way to Atlanta. You can see the old Tallulah Falls Railroad Depot right here on US 441, still standing and today a converted coffee and tea house.
The train used to travel right in front, right where the sign is, right where this black truck is, and make its way right down Main Street. That was in 1882.
Very highly rated, with an extensive menu for coffee and tea, as well as their baked goods and light bites. Also a pet-friendly outdoor area.
Find a turn-of-the-century general store, which is still open and in business.
Okay.
And the train went right straight down there, went across Lake Tallulah, and then down into what now is Tallulah Gorge.
At this long-standing general store, you can pick up locally grown jams and enjoy ice cream in rocking chairs on a vintage front porch. If you go a couple of miles south on US 441, there's a nice little park overlooking the gorge. Next to the Georgia power plant, there's picnic shelters and viewing platforms. In between Tallulah Falls and Helen is Clarksville, another vintage pedestrian-friendly main street with a variety of boutique shops and eateries in century-old buildings. As we start to head into Helen on the Unicoi Turnpike, on the right a nice bike trail which runs along the east side of the Chattahoochee, which we'll show you in a bit. But on the west side of the river, the right side of the road, is Jumping Goat Coffee Roasters. And next to that, the Nora Mills Granary, an operational grist mill and old-fashioned country store. Has been here since 1876. Across the street is the Nacoochee Village Antique Mall with 50 dealers. Also the Habersham Winery, one of Georgia's oldest and largest wineries, with gourmet foods and imported cheeses. On the right, the Alpine Mini Golf Village, one of 2 mini golfs in downtown. It is $11.25 for adults and $9.50 for children 12 and under. It seems every building has the reddish-brown roofs, even the Circle K. The Hansel and Gretel Chocolate Factory for handcrafted gourmet chocolates and candies, a long mainstay in Helen since 1973. They also have a shop further down on North Main Street on the Strip. They had stopped doing tours when COVID hit, but have continued the popular chocolate factory tours in spring of 2024. a nice little courtyard at their south main location here. A look at some of the lodging. There's the Holiday Inn Express and the Sure Stay, a Best Western hotel. Neither of these are pet friendly, but the Baymont Inn is pet friendly. It was a good, comfortable room, good rates, friendly staff, walking distance to the Main Street Strip, 4/10 of a mile from the Octoberfest Festival Hall. Across the street from the Baymont Inn is Riverside Park, a nice little colorful park on the Chattahoochee River. There's a playground and a large covered pavilion with restrooms. Next to the park is Alpine River Suites, which is 2/10 of a mile from the Octoberfest Festival Hall. It is on the river, not pet friendly. But further down on Edelweiss Strasse, and across the street from the Festival Hall, is the Alpine Village Inn, and is pet friendly, for a reasonable $10 fee per night. And it has pretty good reviews.
Hi, Billy. Hi, you are so sweet, my baby.
Helen has the longest running Oktoberfest in the U.S., running from early September to the last weekend of October. And most of the festivities happen right here at the Helen Festhalle. It is $10 Monday through Thursday and $12 Friday and Saturday. Sunday is free. Children 6 to 12 are half price. As well as the dancing. For about $9 to $15, you can enjoy a variety of brats with sauerkraut, red cabbage, and German potato salad, and a nice outdoor beer garden on the Chattahoochee, with long tables bookmarked by pictures of beer and fun people. Only service dogs are allowed. Ran into Cindy and Brian here from Greenville. There's also Christoph 76, an Alpine-themed beer garden. And next to that, the Bodensee restaurant for authentic German food in an outdoor patio. After enjoying that German food, you can play a round of mini golf next door at Pirates Cove Adventure Golf. Across the street is the Hellendorf River Inn, with balconies overlooking the Chattahoochee River. This hotel is pet-friendly for a $20 fee. Next to the hotel, Cafe International, with an elevated covered patio overlooking the river and bridge. Just across Main Street is the Georgia Mtn Coaster. Even if you are not into coasters, you might like this one for the scenery. And you can also decide how fast you want to go. That's a nice thing versus roller coasters. The first ride is $17 for adults, $14 for kids 7 to 12, $10 children 3 to 6. Second ride is half off.
Go dogs! Oh yeah!
Okay, let's make another trip outside of Helen, and we'll come back in a bit to show you Main Street. We now head 20 miles southeast of Helen to Cleveland, Georgia, where the North Georgia Wildlife Park and Safari is at. We are just doing the drive-thru, but they also have a wildlife park where you can walk through.
I can see you.
It is open year-round. The drive-thru safari is $20. Or with the wildlife park as well, it is $38 for adults and $36 for children 2 through 11. Which includes a petting farm and a 45-minute guided tour of the exotic animals. Tuesday is Family Discount Day, where admission is $30 per person. There's a variety of combo packages that include meet and greets, behind-the-scenes tours, and animal and reptile experiences.
You don't see that every day.
A cup of feed is $8. Compared with other drive-thru zoos I've done, this is one of the best. A good variety of animals. Lots of them come right up to the car, welcoming us.
Yo, how you doing?
How can I help you?
Just love the llamas and alpacas. There's also a penguin splash for $99, where you can meet and interact with penguins in a penguin pool. There are events throughout the year, including a Santa safari. Also in February and October, a safari 5K run. Just so much you can do here in addition to the drive-thru, so I'd encourage you to check out their website.
Hey, who you talking to? You ain't talking to me.
I think I've seen this before.
I see you.
Bye,
On the eastern border of Helen is the town of Sautee Nacoochie. You know, with a name like that, it's gotta be good. The old Sautee store is a deli, gift shop, and museum in a 19th century general store. We are going across the street to the Sweetwater Coffee House. They have organic shade-grown coffee, tea, as well as bagels, pastries, and quiche. A nice outdoor area on the porch or in a forest to enjoy your coffee. By the way, the Chattahoochee Stables is here, with horseback rides through the Sautee Valley. There's the Sautee Junction, a little shopping area, with 3 gift shops including the Lavender Cottage and a candle shop. Also, the Sautee Inn Bed and Breakfast is here. You can't see it because it's behind the trees. 2.5 miles north on Georgia State Road 255 is the Stouffville Mill Covered Bridge on the Chickamauga Creek, built in 1895, featured in the Susan Haworth's movie, I'd Climb the Highest Mountain. We head back on the Unicoi Turnpike west towards Helen, where there's some notable places of interest. The Creekstone Vineyards and Winery, located up a little hill. It is part of the Habersham Winery we showed earlier. On Fridays and Saturdays, you can enjoy hot food, flatbread pizza, charcuterie, and giant pretzels. Continuing on the Unicoi Turnpike is the Hardman Historical Farm, with the Sautee Nacoochie Indian Mound across the street. This mound is the burial site of 75 people, most likely of the Native Americans who resided here even before the Cherokee. It's not an area open to the public, but across the street, you can take guided tours of the 19th century buildings of the Hardman Farm from March through December. It is $13 for adults and $8 for children 6 to 17. Parking for the farm, as well as the bike trail here, is at the top of the hill, on the same road that leads to the Creekstone Winery. Okay, remember a few minutes ago when we entered Helen on the Unicoi Parkway and I mentioned a bike trail? Well, now we are on that trail. On the other side of the Chattahoochee, the Helen to Hardman Heritage Trail, we passed by the Nora Mills Dam, built in 1824. You can view it from the Nora Mills Granary, but if you don't mind climbing through some shrubbery, you can climb down from the bike trail to the water at the base of the dam. The Helen to Hardman Heritage Trail is under a couple miles long and is ADA accessible. There are interpretive panels along the way that share info about plants and animals in the region. There's long nature boardwalks. The trail is open from dawn to dusk. You can also park on the Helen side of the trail. Alright, it's dinner time. Let's head back to Main Street. The strip of Helen on North Main Street is where many of the shops and eateries are at. It is about a half a mile long, so easily walkable. It runs from the Chattahoochee River Bridge west all the way to about the Hofbräu House restaurant that we'll show you in a bit. On the south side of the road is the Bandshell Auditorium, where you'll find live music. While it is especially lively during Octoberfest in September and October, it is exceptionally beautiful in the winter. When there is snow on the rooftops, makes you feel like you are in the Alps, and plenty of indoor places to stay warm. There's Pegasus horse-drawn carriage rides located on River Street. A train ride on the Alpine Express, $10 for adults, $5 for children 10 and under. The idea of Octoberfest began in 1810 at a wedding of a crown prince. The weddings were so popular, they became an annual event.
Hey, Prost!
Hey, Prost!
Guys wear lederhosen, which are traditional leather breeches with suspenders, and Tyrolean hats adorned with feathers atop their heads.
It's a lot of fun. We've been here quite a few times over the years and always have a great time. These are my fellow Octoberfest compadres.
Yeah. Where can I get an outfit like that?
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
Yeah, and a wife that likes to shop.
Girls wear dirndl blouses with an apron and a bow. If the bow is tied on the left, it means she's single. If the bow is on the right side, she is taken. Alright, let's show you some places you can get some good German food. Next to the Chattahoochee River Bridge is the Troll Tavern on the bottom floor of the Castle Inn, overlooks the river. The The Two Tire Tavern serves German comfort food with a full bar and dog-friendly deck with live music. It's where I ran into subscribers Carla and Randall.
It's a brand new dog.
Oh my God, I gotta get a picture.
Yeah.
Two Tire Tavern 20 years ago was once known as Hans, but Dan here, the owner, bought it in 2018.
Yeah.
So this was a biker bar.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it still is a biker
Yeah,
bar.
that was more hardcore biker bar.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it hasn't been a biker place for years till I bought it back.
Yeah.
And then I transformed it back into biker themed. We'll call it a biker themed bar.
Oh, that's
I've gone out to Sturgis. I've gone to all the bike rallies.
Yeah.
Some of the riding around here is just as good as or better than out west.
Lots of friendly people here. Across the street is Unicoi Hill Park with an art gallery, gazebo, and a little 0.4 mile paved trail. Further down is Betty's Country Store, which is an IGA grocery store, but in a homely setting. You have all the items of a modern store, with a deli, bakery, and fresh produce, yet in a rustic vintage atmosphere. There's a nice cozy bar and beer garden outside with Adirondack chairs. At the west end of the strip is the Hofbräuhaus restaurant, where you can enjoy a variety of schnitzels and other German favorites, with a large tent outside on the river.
So this is a baked pretzel with beer cheese. This is called a Wiener Schnitzel. It's basically breaded veal with roasted carrots and red cabbage.
Also wanted to mention the Helen Fun Factory, which is across the river from the Hofbräuhaus restaurant. I failed to film it, but there's go-kart, roller skating, and laser tag here. And if we go back to the east end of the strip, there's the Alpine Brew Deck on the river with wings, burgers, and dogs. And on the other side of the river is Paul's Bar and Grill, serves seafood and steaks with a bar and live music on a margarita deck overlooking the river. On the south side of Main Street, the old Bavarian restaurant and lounge, located in a cobblestone European alleyway. Or some sweet and savory crepes at the Village Crepe House. Georgia wines at the Fox Winery. There's the Jerky Snack Shack, Copper's Carol Fudge Shop, and just a wide variety of food and gift shops. Now we move across the street to White Horse Square and Helen Central Plaza. Here there's Heidi House, a Polish restaurant. In the center of the courtyard is King Ludwig Beer Garden, with a large tent where you'll find people hooting it up with live music. There's the Heidelberg restaurant with good Hungarian goulash and schnitzel, with a patio and beer garden. Also here is Hooch for pizza and wings, and the pet-friendly Chat Street Tap Room.
Go dogs!
In the spring, summer, and fall, tubing and ziplining are very popular in Helen, and you can do that right here at Cool River Tubing. They have 3 different aerial challenge courses for all skill levels, with the Extreme Adventure course that goes across the Chattahoochee with a zip line. With tubing, you can either do a 1.5 hour or a 2.5 hour trip. It's $14 to $18 and includes a shuttle ride, and they are pet friendly. On our way to Unicoi State Park, we stop at Fred's Famous Peanuts. This is a must stop. They boil and roast their peanuts right here. They are also known for their peanut brittle, pork rinds, and cinnamon twists, and also have fresh produce. Prices are very modest. They are closed in winter.
Fred's Peanuts will do a number on your car, but they are so good. But thank God I got WeatherTech.
Unicoi State Park is just 5 minutes north of Helen on Georgia Route 356 through the Chattahoochee National Forest. The center of adventures here is at Unicoi Lodge, which does have pet-friendly rooms for a $50 fee. There are also these barrel cabins nestled in the forest, with both 1 and 2 bedroom cabins, located near Unicoi Lake. And there is also a cabin you can find on Verbal if you search for Soak River, that is within the park, as well as other cabins outside the park. In the park, there's archery, an air gun range, fly fishing, paddleboard, kayaking, and zip lining. I put a link for the activities in the description below. With zip lining, there are 3 canopy tours with some crazy fun suspension bridges as you hike through the Chattahoochee Forest. Level 1 is $40 for an hour, Level 2 $79 for 90 minutes to 2 hours, and Level 3, which includes both Levels 1 and 2, and is $139.
And level 2 is probably the most scenic level, and it takes a little over an hour and a half to do.
We cross over the Unicoi Dam. The park surrounds Unicoi Lake, or sometimes called Smith Lake, because Smith Creek flows into it. There's also a 2.2-mile trail around the lake that begins at this parking area with a picnic shelter located near the Unicoi Dam. This trail goes around to Unicoi Lake Public Beach, which has a fishing pier for some good bass fishing. Also in the spring and summer, you can rent kayaks and paddleboards here. It does require a $5 park pass to park here. From the beach, we continue up Anaruby Falls Road. Anaruby Falls is located 2.5 miles north of Unicoi State Park. It is $5 per person for adults, and children 16 and under are free and open from March through December. There's an easy half-mile ADA accessible trail from the visitor center to the falls, with interpretive panels along the way, and is also pet friendly. This is a great place to view the fall foliage. While everyone was focused towards the falls, I was amazed looking in the opposite direction of the trees. Just spectacular. I did this last week in October and was perfect because the color was prime and the leaves were starting to fall. The falls are actually twin waterfalls from both Curtis Creek and York Creek at the top, falling 150 feet to form Smith Creek at the bottom. We take the Unicoi Turnpike north to Georgia State Route 180 as we head to Georgia's highest point, Brasstown Bald, which is 25 minutes north of Helen and 45 minutes east of Blue Ridge, Georgia. Originally, this video was going to be a Northern Georgia video that was going to include Blue Ridge, but there was so much to Helen and the areas around it that I felt Helen had to be its own video. So perhaps next year we'll come back and do Blue Ridge, Georgia. Your GPS might be slightly off 2 or 3 miles for the turnoff to Brasstown Bald, which is off of Route 180. Then it's a gorgeous 3-mile climb on Spur 180 to the visitor center. I actually had to make 3 trips to Brasstown Bald. This footage of the beautiful drive up was on the first trip in late October, but by the time we arrived at the top, it was completely covered in fog. Normally, you can see 4 states from here.
Well, all I can see is just Georgia, and not very far in the distance.
So I came back a second day, which didn't work out because there was smoke from a fire. And finally, on the third day, towards the end of the trip, on November 7th, it was sunny. So I'd recommend not to do it in the morning because it could be foggy in the higher elevations. There is an $8 fee, which includes a shuttle if you like to ride to the observation area, or you can hike a half-mile paved trail. It is pretty steep.
Heel. Heel.
At 1/10 of a mile, you intersect the Wagon Trail, a 6.5-mile trail, which leads to the nearby college town of Young Harris. Large panels show you what you are looking at in all 4 directions, with the names of cities, mountains, and states. Supposedly, on a good day, you can see Klingman's Dome that we showed in our Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge Smoky Mountain Nature video. 80 miles way out there is the skyline of Atlanta, which we'll see in our next video. We are going to start to head in that direction, as I want to end this video on the Appalachian Trail.
Stay. Stay. Okay. Okay. Good. That was one of the first things I taught Bellows, not to go in the street. I want to teach Bailey the same thing.
On the way back down the mountain, showing you 2 different time periods. This shot here was late October, and this shot with Bailey in the Vols jersey was November 7th. The trees are starting to become bare in the higher elevations, although I will say, on US 19 headed towards Atlanta, even at this later date had really good color. A gorgeous drive. Our final stop is at Mountain Crossings at Neel Gap on the Appalachian Trail. Here there is a hostel, picnic tables, a mail drop for hikers, and a nice little store with hiking gear like shoes, backpacks, tents, sleeping bags, and souvenir shirts.
So Bailey and I are hiking the Appalachian Trail. It starts at Springer Mountain, that's just north of Atlanta in northern Georgia, and goes all the way up to Maine.
This trail was actually extended in 2023 by 8 miles and is now 2,198.4 miles. Here at Neel's Gap, we are 30 miles into the trail from the southern terminus at Springer Mountain. So we only have 2,168 miles to go. But not today, as it would be pretty cold by the time we get to New York and Maine. Maybe someday we'll have to do this. We continue towards Atlanta on US 19. It zigzags as the elevation drops in a scenic highway into the foothills of the Blue Ridge. The Blue Ridge Mountains, which extend 615 miles from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, through Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and ends at about Dahlonega, Georgia, 60 miles north of Atlanta, the southern gateway to the Blue Ridge. There is so much to explore in northern Georgia. I'd love to hear your comments about the places you've experienced here, even in the Blue Ridge, Georgia area. I'll take notes for our next trip here. I hope this video has been very helpful to you, perhaps told you about a fun town you didn't even know about, as well as what is around it. You know, our description is pretty informative, where we list addresses and links, so it's a good tool for you to create a list of places of interest you want to visit on your Helen, Georgia getaway. We are Tampa Aerial Media. We film travel videos across the USA. If you would like to hire us to film your city, region, or resort, contact us at info@tampaaerialmedia.com. Next, in 2 weeks, our big Atlanta video, which will cover a lot of suburbs around Atlanta, like Marietta, Stone Mountain, Roswell, and more. Also, we'll show Bella's final ride in Athens, Georgia. After that, a big video of Tampa, and then the Bahamas. So lots coming in the next couple of months.
Partying in Helen! Yeah! Go dogs!
From the Blue Ridge Mountains, as they say in Bavaria, Prost.
Okay, you have the best time. Prost.
Hey, Prost!
Hey,
Prost!